in erotic and autoerotic, well, we work with the 3 levels of kink. For every creation, for every object, for everything, it can be broken down into 3 parts: the active, the passive, and the neutralizing. So what we usually, and in autoerotic, we're playing with what is active and passive, the same way that if we look at electric and magnetic. Magnetic is passive, it draws to it. Electric is active, it goes. It's the lingam and the yoni. Yoni passive, lingam active. But when we're doing sex magic or when we're having great sex, we're always changing who is active and who is passive. And when you're doing prolonged tantric sex, this is to you guys, by the way. In autoerotic wealth, we work with the 3 levels of kink. There's always 3 forces to any creation, any concept. Anything can be broken down into 3 forces, or the 3, the 6, and the 9 that Tesla explained. Now, usually the masculine energy is considered to be active, the feminine energy is considered to be passive. A way of saying this without gender is lunar solar or electric magnetic. Now, these would be symbolic of 2 forces. There's always a neutralizing force, of course. So if we have the lunar and the solar, these are both contained in space. So space is what neutralizes the conflicts between lunar and solar, because everybody has their turn. The masculine and the feminine are neutralized by love, which is the ideal energy of sex. Whenever we're doing like magical rituals, if we act out a law of the universe, we get its power. So if we act out how creation occurs, which is when the masculine and the feminine, or the lunar and the solar, are balanced in the energy of love, which is the source vibration of the universe, then creation is possible. Not just creating children, but also creating worlds, creating and maintaining alternate worlds and realities. So these things are neutralized. When a force is neutralized, there's no conflict. We can have electric and magnetic at the same time. It's no problem. But we're always playing with, in erotic wealth, we're showing you how you can move these things around. So when you're doing extended tantric sex, where you are able to differentiate an orgasm from an ejaculation. An ejaculation marks the end of the orgasmic train. You can't handle anymore. You say, I'm going to burst into a million bubbles, and then it's over. You can't go again. And this is symbolic for your whole life, is that you can't handle a lot of pleasure. You have to pop the balloon. So learning how to handle more pleasure and say no thank you to instant gratification to reach massive valleys of perpetual bliss. It's an art. But in order to do this, if you're in one position, that's really, really great for the active force, really, really great for the lingam, not super exciting for the yoni. They're going to get really close to the brink of orgasm because they've been active for too long. So we switch, we make the pussy active and we make the lingam passive. So you are doing something that is very thrilling and exciting for you as the female. Maybe it's switching to some head and the dick goes passive. Maybe it's switching it up to something that's not as stimulating. And this way, by taking turns with who is active and who is passive, you're constantly rebalancing the masculine and the feminine and the energy of love, which is a symbol for the whole relationship. We're balancing. We're not doing matriarchy, patriarchy. We're doing familyarchy. We're doing a wholearchy where it's balanced, where everybody has their projects, where everybody's excited about what it is that we're doing, when we're collaborating and we're doing the right business work to be able to quantum leap into a new reality. And people say, well, what does money have to do with that? Because the reality you're fantasizing about costs more money. It costs more money. So let's just make you some more money. Love that. So constantly shifting these roles. And when it comes to kink, we're also shifting the conscious and the the conscious and the subconscious kinks around. Now, there's 3 kinks. There's your conscious kink, which says way more about you than your human design, says way more about you than your star sign. Like, this is what's motivating so much of what you do. So if we were to simplify things down and say, let's say that there's only 2 types of kinks, where the 3: dominant, submissive, and switch. We're going to put switch on the back burner because this is, the ultimate truth. We'll get there. But if you guys could peg me, what would you say that my conscious kink is? Do you think that I am dominant, Or do you think that I am submissive? And a lot of you guys have seen my husband as well. So I'm totally down to hear what you guys would think. Do you guys think I'm more dominant, or do you think I'm more submissive? We've talked about this so much on the podcast, where it's like dom in the streets, sub in the sheets, and vice versa. We did this when we were talking about Kanye. But okay, it seems like everybody's scared to answer, so I'm just going to tell you, I am dominant. Everybody's a secret switch. Everybody's a secret switch. A balanced kink is expressing both sides of it. So the conscious kink is if you went and filled out a BDSM test, they would say, this is your kink. Now, the subconscious kink, conscious kink, you're totally cool with. You're like, love this about me. Love this about me. This is my light. Woo! But the subconscious kink, you'll also be cool with. The subconscious kink, it's like a yin yang. Now, in yin yang, we have the black side, we have the white side, and then we have the circle, which is a symbol in and of itself. So the dom has a little speck of sub that wants to be tickled. So dom in the streets and the little white dot of sub in the sheets. And then on the white side, sub in the streets with the little black dot of dom in the sheets. So honk the little heart horn if this is making sense for you guys. But then the circle is representative of the unconscious kink. Now, what we're doing in Erotic Wealth, whether we're doing it just for you or we're doing it for your partners, is we're just exploring these different types of kinks and helping you have these conversations about kink so that you can set the old sex passive, because it doesn't take any thought to have the same old sex that you've always had, but let's set the new sex active. Let's set the new sex active. Let's have some fun. Let's do something different. Let's reheat the entire marriage. Let's have totally new sex. Did you know that 70% of women are happy in their marriage, but wish they could switch their husband out just for sex? They like everything else about him, but just for the sex, they wouldn't mind trading a partner. It's very there is a way to do this. And this is something that we haven't been taught, because if society was in touch with the erotic, they would never stay at jobs they didn't like. They would never blindly follow rules, because they would say, what I want is healthy, and pursuing desire is not greedy. It's like, imagine that we have three kettlebells. We have a kettlebell that represents the pursuit of the physical. We have a kettlebell that represents the pursuit of the spiritual, and we have a kettlebell that represents the pursuit of the erotic. If you've been told by duality and religion that you have to fit the kettlebell of the erotic on either the side of materialistic and worldly, physical, or spiritual and godly in the spiritual, what category, I really want to hear in the comments, what category do you think the kettlebell of the erotic, its own entity, is going to fall into? It's going to fall into the physical category. You're going to be taught that wanting more is greedy, that wanting more is bad, and then you're going to repress it. Now, if you are actively repressing what it is that you want, it doesn't go away, it gets worse. But you start to believe there's something wrong with you. When you believe that there's something wrong with you, you will pay anyone, do anything to make yourself normal again. People are not aspiring to pleasure. They are aspiring to normal, not to pleasure, to normal. And this is why we have a nice normal society that's super triggered whenever we talk about sex. People that are triggered that say, they say, oh, the erotic, that's porn. No, it's not. It is 1/3 of your psychology, and people in power know this and trigger it and play on it all the time to get you to want things that you don't want. To get you to want things that you don't want. You are disabling the most important part of your psychological GPS, and you will never, ever be successful if you are sexually repressed. You will never, ever go from money based in need to money based in want. You will never, if you are in a money pattern where you can get what you need, but you can't get more, you can't stack up excess wealth, this is because your erotic is dead. You don't know how to handle things just for pleasure. You only know how to get the bare minimum. This is a major psyop that the world has lived in. And when I found out about this, I was like, whoa, I got to change this. I got to teach people about this for real. It took 3 years to build this workshop. The whole 3 years, my marriage was like teetering on disaster. The whole fucking teetering. When we started teaching the erotic, we thought that the secret to a happy marriage was an open marriage, and Erotic Wealth was going to be teaching people how to have an open relationship. Since then, my husband and I got married June 21st, 2020. What year was that we got married? June 21st, 2022. We got married, and we did an alchemical sealing. So if you guys thought drinking period blood was bad, don't ask me about the alchemical sealing. Because I won't be talking about it publicly. There's too much that could go wrong. Plus, I don't actually think it's necessary. That was like a physical sealing thing, but honestly, what we do in Erotic Wealth is that we seal you at the higher plane. So there's the physical, there's the emotional, there's the mental, there's the astral, there's the causal. A lot of people have been married just on the lower centers, but when we marry you on the higher centers, it can never be broken. Can never be broken. That's why I say don't do it if you're not super serious about the relationship. But the nice thing is that if you're not serious about the relationship, it will be revealed. Erotic Wealth is the best. We just started doing another round of it, my husband and I, so you can see all of our homework. We were just establishing the kink and the role switch that we were going to be doing was ooh, it was creating a lot of drama for us. We were at each other's throats. Hi everybody, it's me, Mommy. My husband Magic is on the camera right now, and if you guys are enjoying this video so far, I really want to make sure that you go to the caption, that you get the free book, The Complete Guide to Sexual Magic. It's 130 pages. We did not gatekeep whatsoever, and whether you are doing monofocal sex magic, which is just you on your own, or doing it with a partner, this book is for you. So we have that available in the description. There's also an audiobook. Enjoy the rest of the video. The final kink is the subconscious kink. So you're cool with the conscious kink. You're like, fuck yeah, I'm a dom. And then you say, okay, well, your subconscious kink is being submissive. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm cool with that. Tie me up, baby. Let's get it. But then there's the unconscious kink. And the unconscious kink is the taboo. And the taboo will always be the most erotic because you're not allowed to want it. You're not allowed to want it. Now, where does this kink come from? Where does your unconscious kink come from? Can I tell you guys online? All right, but I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, because if I tell you that a lot of times people kink is healthy, kink is healthy. And when you make pleasure out of something that used to cause you pain, it's alchemized. So alchemized is taking lead and turning it into gold. There is nothing wrong with taking lead and turning it into gold. This is not unhealthy. This is not bad. This is safe. This is magic. This is magic. So before any of you take the tail end of this conversation and start judging people that are more liberated sexually than you, I want you to sit the fuck down on your little prude boat and not do this, because we are not yucking other people's yums today. Correct? Yes, Mommy? All right. The unconscious kink comes from trauma. The unconscious kink comes from trauma, and it's something that you were absolutely certain that you did not want, that you, for a long time, you've been saying, there is no way that was pleasurable. And the only reason that that's afflicting you is because we're meant to have lots of kinks in our life. So when you repress a kink, you get stuck on it. And the trauma-informed kink, you're gonna be stuck in for a really long time, because it's been years and years of you saying, no, 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 shut the door, not allowed to think about this. I'm like, look, my kink, molested by my brother as a child, developed a kink for non-consensual, incestuous relations. Now, for years, no, don't look at that. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. Into it, never. I could never be into something like that. What, fucking crazy? That's the unconscious kink. That's the unconscious kink. So the opposite of repression is expression. And when you express your kink in a safe and healthy way, it's not a kink for you anymore. It's no longer taboo. So it loses its edge, and people have this fear. They're like, oh my God, if I super judgmental of their kinks. We live in a society that publicly shames other people's kinks. People are super locked up, you know, religious, sexually, like all of this stuff. And it's very clear when someone isn't, and that someone is super triggering to people. That's okay. That's okay. But people become very hostile when you point out that they're prudish. So, I learned this the hard way when CPS got called on me for being a sex worker. I was like, oh no. And smoking weed. It was such a fucking pain in the ass. It was so easy with the weed thing. I'm like, yeah, I smoke weed. I don't give a shit. I'll stop smoking weed right now. I haven't smoked weed since, but it's so actually hard to prove to people that you are not a sex worker. Like, it's actually so hard to prove that you're not a sex worker. Think about how you would prove you were not a sex worker if you were accused of it. Gotta love Texas. Might be Austin, but it's still Texas. But unconscious kink. So when you express it, it doesn't have power over you anymore. And because this is so, I'm telling you, fucking hard work. This is when you guys do erotic wealth, anytime you hear people talking about how sex magic is like just having sex over and over again, or, you know, jerking off to your vision, you're going to be like, yeah, that's not it. And that's not it. If you look cute afterwards, it didn't work. That wasn't it. I believe that spiritual work should be easy from the very beginning on my website. Easy to understand. I'll make it simple, practical to apply. There will be homework. You move forward in a magical process when you do your homework, not when you finish watching the video. And I'm checking your homework because I'm your guidance counselor. So I'm going to fucking know. You're turning in homework to me. And I'm checking it, not saying, oh, good, heart emoji. You could do this better. You did great here. Looks good. Good job. You're getting it. Love seeing what you're doing here. Maybe try it like this. That's the fucking relationship. I know how difficult this process is, which is why this is where the sex magic comes in. You're introduced to your deity at the beginning of the course. The deity picks you. And as you start to get closer with this, the lines between who you are and who the goddess or the god is, they start to blur. And when it comes time to face your unconscious kink, you are ready because you're not in it alone. And you know what's the crazy part? Your deity had the same thing happen to them as what happened to you. And you're not in it alone. And now it's sacred. And now it's beautiful. Because you can go through something extremely painful for you and not discount how painful any of that was for you. You can completely honor how painful it was, yet turn it into gold. And not only do you come out of it being a healed version of yourself, you don't even see yourself anymore. You've literally become the goddess or the god, and that's why they chose you. And I'm so grateful that this work was chosen to come through me, because it's absolutely beautiful. And I feel really lucky to do stuff like that. Erotic Wealth, checking homework like crazy. Auto Erotic Wealth, I have 150 students, so you guys will probably have to read an FAQ if you enroll next year. I will absolutely do my best. Maybe I can train somebody to check homework, but for now we will we'll play it by ear. But Erotic Wealth, because it's 2 schedules, that's me. That's me checking everything. And that literally is the Philosopher's Stone. Because when you go look for your inner devil and you'll find your inner God. If you want to know more about the Philosopher's Stone, and specifically how it can be very hard to find the Philosopher's Stone on white magic or on black magic. The white magicians didn't nail it. The black magicians didn't nail it. The blood magicians didn't nail it. But when you use all 3 together, you don't get stuck in any of these places. And I give very specific examples for what it looks like when you go looking for the Philosopher's Stone just on the white magic train, just on the black magic train, or just on the red magic train. There is an audiobook of this for free. There is an ebook of this for free that you can always get on my app. Go to the App Store, look up Safe House Global. Some people need to put Safe House in all caps. I don't know why some do and some don't. Head over to the Discover tab, get the free version, and listen to or read the whole book. It's the 120 pages of like, what the fuck? Things that I guarantee you've never been told before. I'm so happy I have an app, because when it's time to launch this again in June, I can talk to you about these things like an adult without getting banned from TikTok. I mean, if I got banned from TikTok just now for talking about not liking Joe Jonas and his Christian prudishness, imagine the fucking drag I would have gotten for this conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to get the free book in the description. It is so good. It's gonna take everything that you thought you knew about sex magic, turn it on its head, and for the first time, you'll be like, I think I'm looking at something that actually works. Our results speak for ourselves. We run an esoteric school together, and we can't wait to meet you. Get the book. See you there.
Ta-ta.
Oh.